Hey everyone, it's Irene here. I wanted to pop on and do a very quick live to answer a question that really wasn't asked of me, but it is something that is in my mind because I see this comment. So it's a comment that I get on usually YouTube quite a bit, but sometimes here on Instagram. Hello everyone. So the comment is usually under some of my free resources, and it's something like this. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Nothing happened. This doesn't work. So this is usually a comment that I get, or we get, my team and I get, after someone has tried some of my basic neurosensory exercises, which I will admit are very basic, and they are bringing you into connection with the ground, yourself, the environment, sensation, maybe some touch, or some combo of this. And so that's the first thing. So people will ask or say, comment and say, this isn't doing anything, or nothing happened. I didn't feel anything. What's the point? The other thing I often see will be students, usually in the 21-day nervous system tune-up, and this is just common. People will say, I did that course, nothing happened. I went through it, nothing happened. Now, I know that there's always exceptions, of course, always exceptions. So that's the other comment we often get. So I want to address these a little bit by sharing some examples in other fields to sort of, in a sense, prove, I don't know if it's a point or present to you a thesis of why someone might not feel something when they do something once, or even if they try to do something for 21 days or for, it just, everyone's different. So I'll start with, say, fitness, because my background is in exercise science and exercise physiology. So if you or someone else wanted to get fit to, say, hike a really big mountain, like a multi-day trek, and the way that you prepared for that was you went for a walk once, and I'm being a bit cheeky here, but it's like, I just went for a walk. Why am I not fit to climb K2 or Mount Everest, or even to go for an hour-long walk up a steeper incline? So we know from the world of fitness and physical performance, aerobic capacity, muscular strength, that in order to become fitter or to be able to climb that mountain or go on a day-long hike with plenty of reserves and energy and not be in pain for weeks on end, that we need to do more than just one walk. We actually have to do more than even a couple weeks of walking. We might need to do some flexibility work, some joint stability work. We might need to do some strength training. We might need to handle a few old injuries that we didn't realize were causing our locomotion and gait to be off. We might need to do a bit more than just one little walk around the block to do this bigger physical fitness feat. I'll use another example. Another example that I have training in from the past is nutrition. So let's just say you know that you have to improve your dietary consumptions, whatever it might be. You eat too much of this or too little of that. And so let's say you go, okay, I had one bowl of vegetables. Why am I not in full metabolic health tomorrow? Or I had one whole food meal. Why am I still experiencing IBS? Not that, of course, not that food is always connected to IBS. That's a whole other story. I just use that as an example. So in other words, you need to improve your nutrition, let's say your metabolic health, your blood glucose profile, your mineral deficiencies. Let's say your minerals are tanked, your vitamins are tanked, your omega-3, 6 ratio in your cells is terrible, and you just are like, okay, I did one good meal. Why isn't it better? Again, I'm being cheeky. So that's another example. So we've done food, nutrition. Let's say you've decided that you want to become a bit more connected to source, a bit more spiritual, a bit more just in tune with the ether, the field. And let's say you do one meditation, one mind-body meditation that's more in connection to facilitating your connection to source. So you do one, and then the next day you're like, I don't feel any different. Language. Say you want to speak a new language. You do one little class, one exercise, one Duolingo, which is an app that I know is out there for learning languages. And then the next day you're like, it didn't work. I can't speak Spanish fluently, or I can't speak German fluently, or I can't speak Portuguese fluently, or whatever it might be. Why didn't it work? So I give you some of these examples because for some reason, the nervous system world and the connection to our somatic selves and working on our past traumas, working on stored survival stress, that's how I prefer to call past traumas, our stored survival stress that creates dysregulation, which creates the whole host of thingies that we as humans deal with, whether it's chronic illness, chronic pain, what we would classify as autoimmune, cancers, heart disease, heart arrhythmias, mental illness, phobias, inability to sleep, all these things. So let's say we know we have to work on this. One moment in time doing one exercise isn't going to completely shift that overnight. And it's also not going to completely shift it in, say, 21 days. And what we have to understand is, for many of us, we don't notice anything after doing something, not because the lesson or the exercise isn't valid. It's because our system has so many layers, so many cobwebs, so many shields of armor, so many past experiences that never allowed us to fully notice ourselves or notice the environment or process what's occurring when we do these things. So it makes perfect sense if something isn't totally noticeable right away, or there isn't a massive shift in symptomology right away. I am here to do this video because I want to say, for those of you who have tried some of my things and you're like, nothing happened. I did it all, nothing happened. I heard this also when I would work with people more mind-body. It's like, I keep doing these things, nothing's happening. Nutrition, fitness, learning a new language, all the skills that require mastery, all these things require mastery, repetition, consistency, and education. It isn't often enough just to do an exercise or go through the motions of a somatic movement. We have to understand theoretically in our cognition why we might not be having something that we feel, or why we might not be getting out of this survival response, i.e. anxiety or shutdown. So important for us to understand, oh, this is that functional freeze thing that Irene's been talking about. I think I'm in functional freeze. This is why I can't feel anything. Or, maybe I've got a lot of stored aggression. I am so angry that this isn't doing anything. Or, I just did this lesson. I don't remember a word she said. What's that all about? That shows that the system is dissociating. So I wanted to just pop on. This is really quick, very, very quick, to remind everyone, if you're new here, this work, and I don't even like calling it somatic work now because that is getting butchered with all of the flashy somatic exercise ads that we see here on Instagram, that I know are based in good intention, and are often based on some of the movements that Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais popularized. But it's not enough to just go through the motions and do. There has to be an integration with the whole self, with the cognition, and also understanding how much armoring, how much freeze, how much dissociation, or how much over activation is in the system that isn't allowing you to settle and notice the lesson itself. I am 25 years into my world of working in fitness, health, nutrition, mind, body, Feldenkrais, somatic experiencing, somatic practice, and bringing these all together. And I too am still working on my stuff. And new layers keep coming undone. I keep finding new things. Just yesterday, I had these pains in my forearm that made no sense, but it was the feeling of burning. It was the feeling of how you would feel if you had anesthesia or freezing wearing off on a part of your body. And I'm like, oh, this makes sense, because I've been doing more soft tissue work with my shoulders due to too many injuries I won't get into right now. But I'm saying that to say that don't go into this work. Here's my last thought. Try not to go into this work with this, I'm going to get it figured out this year, because this year I want to go on that trip, or this year I want to start my business, or this year I want to get pregnant and have kids. I got to get this all sorted out in 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, so that I can be regulated and perfect, so that I can do these things. Doesn't work like that. This is very different than other forms of, say, medical healing, where you might get a bone fixed or something like that, surgically repaired, or something surgically removed. This is a much more nuanced learning. It's like learning a new language, and you can't learn a new language with one lesson. You can't learn a new language even with the best teacher. It's you. You are the one that has to really become masterful at how you take in the information, how you process the information, and then know, I think I need a little bit more time on this one. I need to ask for some help on this one. And this is another piece that I'll say for all of my students here who are in 21 days. There's forums. There are so many forums for you to ask questions on that site. So please ask my colleagues and my professionals questions. If you're not sure, there's no such thing as a stupid question. The only thing is a question that's not asked. That's not good. So if you're not sure about something, ask. If you're just going through my free resources, again, know that they're a starting point, but they're not the only thing. And if something doesn't work once, do it again. Try it again. Try it again. I have some students who will say that they took 6 to 8 months to work through my free resources. And these are people who are now practitioners in this work. Thinking about a couple students right now who, when they started out this journey, they were so unwell, like full on inability to get out of bed, complex PTSD, traumas like you wouldn't believe. And they had to start with just the simplest audio lesson, and they repeated it over and over and over again until there was a little more capacity. And then they added a little bit more, and then they grew a little more capacity, and then a little more and more capacity. Just such an important piece for me. So if you try something and you don't notice anything, that is information. That is information. Take that information in, and just know that we've done enough of this with enough people all around the world for years and years and years, as have my predecessors, my mentors. This is really important work, and it does work, but we have to stick with it, and we have to get the education on board, the practices, and integrate it into our life. It is not a quick fix. It is not meant to be done in a rote way, step by step. It's meant to be done in a way that is constantly evolving, integrating, coming back to it, looking at it a different way, different angle. All right, everyone, take care, and I hope this has been useful. For those of you that aren't too sure about whether or not you should keep going with this work, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get to them via a comment or another video. Bye for now.